every dinosaur documentary you have ever watched has lied to you about this animal. They told you the T-Rex was the largest carnivorous dinosaur that ever lived. That is wrong. They told you the Spinosaurus was just a bigger version of a T-Rex with a sail on its back. That is also wrong. And they definitely did not tell you what scientists discovered in 2014 that completely changed everything we thought we knew about this creature. Because the Spinosaurus was not a land predator at all. It was something far stranger, far more terrifying, and far more bizarre than anything Hollywood has ever shown you. In the next 10 minutes, I am going to break down the real Spinosaurus, the one that science has been arguing about for over a century, and I promise by the end of this video, you will never look at this dinosaur the same way again. The Spinosaurus lived approximately 99 to 93 million years ago during the mid-Cretaceous period in what is now North Africa, specifically the regions that today we call Morocco, Egypt, and Algeria. But here's the first thing they never told you. The world the Spinosaurus lived in looked nothing like the Sahara Desert you see today. 95 million years ago, North Africa was a massive system of rivers, mangrove swamps, and tidal flats. Think of the Amazon rainforest, but hotter, wetter, and filled with creatures that would make your worst nightmare look friendly. The rivers were enormous, some wider than the Mississippi, and they were absolutely packed with giant fish, sharks, sawfish, lungfish, and massive coelacanths the size of a car. This was not a dry, dusty landscape. This was a tropical aquatic hell. And the Spinosaurus was built specifically to rule it. Now let me tell you how big this animal actually was, because the numbers are genuinely hard to believe. The Spinosaurus measured between 14 and 18 meters long. That makes it potentially longer than a T-Rex by 3 to 4 meters. It could weigh between 7 and 20,000 kilograms depending on which estimate you follow. Its skull alone was nearly 2 meters long, longer than most adult humans are tall. But here is where it gets strange, and this is what they really did not tell you. That skull looked nothing like a typical predatory dinosaur. It was long, narrow, and filled with conical straight teeth, not the thick bone-crushing serrated teeth of a T-Rex. The Spinosaurus skull looked more like a crocodile than a dinosaur, and that was the first clue that this animal was doing something completely different from every other large theropod. But scientists ignored that clue for decades, and the reason they ignored it is one of the most frustrating stories in all of paleontology. I will get to that in a moment. Because first you need to understand the sail. The massive sail on the back of the Spinosaurus is its most iconic feature and also its most debated. The neural spines on its vertebrae extended up to 170 centimeters tall, creating a massive structure that ran along most of its back. For decades, scientists assumed the sail was used for temperature regulation, like a giant radiator that helped the animal cool down or warm up. Others thought it was purely for display, a way to attract mates or intimidate rivals. But in 2020, researchers proposed something that nobody expected. They analyzed the bone density of the neural spines and found that they were dense and solid, not hollow or lightweight like you would expect from a display structure. This led to a radical new theory. The sail may have functioned as a giant fin, helping the Spinosaurus move through water by providing lateral stability while swimming. And that theory connects directly to the bombshell discovery I mentioned earlier. Now let me tell you about 2014, because this is where everything changed. Paleontologist Nizar Ibrahim and his team published a paper that rewrote the entire Spinosaurus story. They discovered something that no one believed at first. The Spinosaurus had short hind legs, dramatically shorter than any other large theropod dinosaur. Its femur was shorter than its thigh muscles would suggest for a land animal. Its feet were wide and flat, possibly even webbed. Its bones were dense and heavy, similar to modern animals that spend most of their time in water like penguins and manatees. Dense bones act as ballast, helping the animal sink and control its buoyancy underwater. And its tail. This is the part that broke the internet in 2020. Ibrahim's team revealed that the Spinosaurus had a massive paddle-shaped tail, tall and flattened from side to side, like the tail of a newt or a crocodile, not the stiff, narrow tail of a typical dinosaur. This tail was designed for one thing: propulsion through water. When all of these pieces came together, the conclusion was staggering. The Spinosaurus was semi-aquatic. It was the first known dinosaur adapted for life in water, not wading at the edges, not scooping fish from the shallows like a heron, actually swimming, diving, hunting underwater. A 15-meter carnivorous dinosaur that chased its prey beneath the surface of ancient rivers like a crocodile the size of a bus. This is what they did not tell you, and the reason they did not tell you is because we did not know. For almost 100 years, scientists had the wrong picture. And the reason for that is the most frustrating part of this entire story. The original Spinosaurus fossils were discovered in 1912 by German paleontologist Ernst Stromer in the Bahariya Formation of Egypt. He described the species in 1915 and gave us our first glimpse of this extraordinary animal. But then something terrible happened. During World War II, on the night of April 24th, 1944, Allied bombers destroyed the Alte Academy Museum in Munich, where Stromer's irreplaceable Spinosaurus fossils were stored. Everything was lost. The original bones, the detailed drawings, decades of research, gone in a single night of bombing. For the next 70 years, scientists had to work from Stromer's old notes and illustrations alone, incomplete, fragmentary, and maddeningly insufficient. That is why, for decades, we got the Spinosaurus wrong. It was not until new fossils were found in Morocco starting in the 2000s that the real picture finally began to emerge. And what emerged was something nobody expected. Now let me tell you about how this animal actually hunted, because this is where the Spinosaurus becomes truly terrifying. Its long, narrow snout had pressure sensors embedded in the tip, similar to modern crocodiles. These sensors could detect the movement and pressure waves of fish swimming nearby, even in murky water where visibility was zero. The Spinosaurus did not need to see its prey, it could feel it. Its conical interlocking teeth were not designed for crushing bone like a T-Rex. They were designed for gripping slippery prey. Fish, sharks, anything that tried to escape its jaws would find it nearly impossible because those teeth locked together like a cage. And here's something most people do not realize. The Spinosaurus was not just eating fish. The rivers of Cretaceous North Africa contained prey that was terrifyingly large. Onchopristis was a giant sawfish that could grow up to 8 meters long. Mawsonia was a coelacanth the size of a car. And Sarcosuchus was a giant crocodilian that reached 12 meters. The Spinosaurus was hunting alongside and competing with creatures that were themselves apex predators. This was not a gentle fisherman. This was the apex predator of an aquatic ecosystem that was more dangerous than anything that exists on Earth today. But here's the debate that is still raging in the scientific community right now, and it is far from settled. Not all paleontologists agree that the Spinosaurus was a dedicated swimmer. Some researchers argue that the dense bones and short legs do not necessarily mean it swam. They suggest the Spinosaurus may have been more like a giant heron, wading in shallow water and ambushing prey from above, rather than diving beneath the surface. Others point out that the paddle tail is strong evidence for active swimming, but question how efficient a 15-meter animal with those proportions could actually be in the water. The truth is, we are still finding new fossils, and every discovery shifts the debate. In 2022, researchers published new analysis that supported the swimming hypothesis, but a competing paper in 2023 challenged the biomechanical models. This is what makes the Spinosaurus so fascinating. It is not a solved mystery. It is an active scientific argument happening right now in real time, and the next major fossil discovery could change everything again. What we do know is that the Spinosaurus disappeared from the fossil record around 93 million years ago. The exact cause of its extinction is not certain, but scientists believe a combination of factors contributed. Sea levels changed dramatically during the mid-Cretaceous, altering the river systems and coastal environments that the Spinosaurus depended on. As its aquatic habitat shrank, the Spinosaurus lost access to the prey-rich waterways that sustained it. Other large predators like Carcharodontosaurus, which shared the same ecosystem, may have competed for the remaining resources on land, where the Spinosaurus was at a disadvantage with its short legs and aquatic specializations. The very adaptations that made it the king of the rivers became its weakness when those rivers disappeared. It is a reminder that specialization is a double-edged sword in evolution. So let me put this all together, because the full picture of the Spinosaurus is far more incredible than any movie has ever shown. It was potentially the longest carnivorous dinosaur that ever lived, longer than a T-Rex, longer than a Giganotosaurus. It had a 2-meter crocodile-like skull with pressure sensors that could detect prey in total darkness. It had dense, heavy bones that acted as ballast for underwater hunting. It had a massive paddle-shaped tail for propulsion through water. It had a sail up to 170 centimeters tall that may have helped stabilize it while swimming. And its original fossils were destroyed in a World War II bombing raid, meaning we lost nearly a century of potential research. The Spinosaurus is not just a dinosaur, it is a scientific detective story that is still being written. Every year new fossils emerge from the deserts of Morocco. Every year new papers are published that challenge or confirm what we think we know. If this video changed the way you see the Spinosaurus, share it with someone who still thinks the T-Rex was the biggest carnivorous dinosaur, because the real story of the Spinosaurus is far more incredible than any movie. And the next chapter of that story could be discovered tomorrow. I will see you in the next one.